On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks fall to the Utah Jazz. Luka Doncic doesn't play well, gets the one-on-one matchup with Rudy Gobert at the end. Was it the matchup the Mavericks actually wanted? Is it something that the Mavericks should be trying again? Will they match up well in the playoffs still? Should the Mavericks still want the Jazz in the playoffs? We'll talk about all that and more on today's Locked On Mavs.
I'm Luka Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks podcast.
Hey, Dallas Mavericks are NBA champions. Bang! Bang! It's good!
And the Mavericks have won the game!
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for the Locked On Podcast Network. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen every day, including weekends when we have games, because we'll do every single post game on this show. We are 5 day a week, plus every post game podcast for you. And joining me, as always, my co-host, contributor, writer at Mavs.com, the Gobert Goblin, the One More Thing King. What you got for me, Isaac Harris?
The Gobert Goblin. You're getting better at this. You act like you've done this before.
The nicknames. The alliteration nicknames I'm getting better at. Everything else is up for debate.
Guys, breaking news. I have not changed my stance at all. I still want Utah in the playoffs. As soon as they lost this game to Utah, I was like, oh, here comes the peeps.
Oh, yeah.
Saying, you don't want Utah now, do you? No.
Wait till the Jazz fans wake up the next day. Wait till the Jazz fans wake up tomorrow.
Wait till they find a hot spot for the internet. But no, it was a fun game. It felt like almost a playoff game, there in Utah on Friday night, and it was a fun last few minutes of the game. I say fun as far as entertaining. If you want to separate fandom for a bit and be like, oh, that's fun basketball to watch. Obviously, we want the Mavericks to win that game, but I love seeing styles clash together, and you have two different styles in Dallas and Utah, and I want it. I want it in the playoff series. I haven't backed down from it, and I think it would be entertaining. I think both teams would win multiple games, but I'm still confident I think Dallas would win the series.
If I was really good at my job, I would hit the I want it all, I want it all. I would hit that drop right now, but I don't have that one on.
We could have the intern, could you?
Yeah, get the intern to do it. Dallas Mavericks fall 109-114. This was a close game throughout. I mean, the Mavericks had the lead for a lot of this game. I looked at the time leading. The Mavericks led this game for 33 minutes. The Jazz led this game for 9 minutes and 35 seconds. The Mavericks had this game for a while, and it came down to the end. That third quarter was absolutely brutal, awful for the Mavericks. We'll talk about that and break that down. But it came down to the end. The Mavericks had chances at the end of this game. The Mavericks had they had exactly what they wanted. They wanted Luka with Rudy Gobert. They wanted that one-on-one matchup, and they got that 4 or 5 times down late in the game. And for various reasons that we will discuss, Luka couldn't capitalize on that matchup, and that's the reason why the Mavericks lost this game. You can point to so many other things in this. Luka didn't shoot well. Brunson didn't shoot well. Donovan Mitchell shot incredibly well. The bench players for the Mavericks played incredibly well. Dwight Powell played incredibly well. Like, different factors on this side, on each side, got this game to a really, really close game down the stretch, but it all came down to those last 4 or 5 possessions where the Mavericks kind of fell into some old habits. You and I were texting about this, and that's something that you said to me, and I agree. The Mavericks fell into some old habits of just give Luka the ball and do nothing else. Stand on the perimeter, no movement, no cuts, no anything like that, and just wait for Luka to win his matchup. And that didn't work for the Mavs in this game.
It didn't towards the end because it didn't work, but I don't think it's something they should abandon. And because I'm fine with what they did. I'm fine with the decision Luka made. I'm fine with the decision Kidd made, both for the offense, those last few possessions, and the personnel out there. I know some people are like clamoring, hey, where was Dwight Powell there at the end of the game? Dallas elected to go with 4 shooters around Luka. I mean, you look at Spencer Dinwiddie post-game tonight, and him saying this is obviously something that they've been talking about in the locker room, during the game, preparing for this game and everything. I literally wrote down, it's one of the few notes I put down post-game. He said, obviously the Jazz bigs struggle with bigs who can shoot. And it's something that they know, it's something they've put on the game plan and everything of like, hey, them electing to just put Maxey out there as the only big, a guy who can shoot, even though, I mean, we could talk about it felt like he was a little reluctant to shoot there at the end of the game when I feel like he should have just launched it. But either way, they went with 4 shooters instead of having Dwight out there as the roll man, because that's what they felt was the best way for them to win. And they were like, hey, we will take the matchup with Rudy Gobert ISO'd out on Luka. Now, whether you think that him ISO at the top of the key, 4 shooters out and say, hey, just go do your thing, all of that is the right play from the start, that I think that's up for debate, because Iztok did a great job. Friend of the pod, friend of real life, all this stuff. Just went back to Slovenia. Great trip in Dallas for Iztok. But he just wrote this piece in the magazine, and one of the small pieces of that was him talking about Luka getting the ball in these different spots on the floor, that how Kid and them are designing some of these ways that Luka can get the ball. Ty Lue talked about it after the Clippers game. It's him getting the ball coming off those dribble handoffs, and he gets it there in the paint. We've talked about on this pod of then instead of just ISOing it out, Luka just taking it and doing all this stuff, let's get the ball in Luka's hands at different spots to where he can create, take these shots. I think they could have done a better job at getting Luka the ball at different spots instead of, hey, let's just run a high pick and roll to get the switch and then everybody just clear out. But even that, I'm fine. I'm okay with it. Luka said after the game, I like this matchup. The Mavericks seem like they like the matchup. And you know what helps the matchup for Utah side is when a Utah player, including Rudy Gobert, can put their hands on the waist, can hand check and everything. Send me one more clip of Rudy Gobert, quote, locking down Luka. Cool. Let me lock down somebody if I can just foul him on the perimeter.
Luka Doncic after the game had the quote of the day. When asked about the matchup between him and Rudy Gobert, the one-on-ones late in the game, quote, I like the matchup. I think I got fouled twice. I know that ref, and he won't make that call. He doesn't like me. Then later said I'm okay getting the fine. I'm okay to get the fine in this game.
Amen.
So Luka did have a back and forth with the ref about 2 minutes, right? The clip that everyone's showing right now, the Rudy Gobert locked down Luka Doncic, and it's the clip where Rudy gets his hand on Luka's waist, the hand check like he said, and then Luka gets into it with John Goble. After the game. That's the ref that he's talking about that doesn't like him, and he knows that he's not going to get that foul called.
Yeah.
You can go a whole different bunch of directions in this. Okay, well, if you know he's not going to call it, then why are you whining about it? But it's also a foul. It is a foul. It's still
a foul.
It is a foul late in the game, and so we should give credit to Rudy Gobert because he did play really well. He didn't just get cooked in these matchups and then get bailed out by a foul. There were a couple fouls, but there's a couple of really good plays from him as well. There's just various reasons why that matchup didn't go the Mavericks' ways, and there's a bunch of reasons why that matchup could go in the Mavs' way later, right?
I was going to say, you still take that.
Right.
He's an amazing defender, and I do think sometimes he gets overlooked in the whole thing of
the Draymond comments come out about don't put me in the same conversation as him and blah blah blah, and so people take that as he's a trash defender, and that's just not the case. He's an impact player for sure.
Yes, he's an impact player. He's not trash. I don't think I think some of the players.
What's the French word for trash?
I think some of the players' issue with it is he can't guard 1 through 5 to where some of the best defenders in the game you could say could have an impact 1 through 5. But Rudy is an amazing defender. It's just I'll still take that matchup. Luka wants the matchup, the Mavs want the matchup. I'll still play my odds with that. What's your other option? What do you want? You having Rudy Gobert out on the guarding Luka 25 feet from the basket. I will trust Luka Doncic, especially in a playoff series, either getting a foul on Rudy or scoring the basketball or a help defender coming and he's hitting an open Brunson or Dorian, whoever it is. I'll trust that matchup. I want that matchup.
We've seen it before. This is not just a one game where this is the only sample we've seen of it. We've seen Luka take advantage of this matchup in the past.
Yeah, 100%. Luka is so confident in that matchup. We never see Luka Doncic press conferences, especially after a loss, in which he's post game saying what he did. Normally, it's short answers. Yeah, I should have played better. Blah 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 blah. I gotta be better. Question, I gotta be better. Blah, blah. The first question was about that matchup, and Luka's just looking. He's like, "Yeah, I like the matchup." He is very confident in that matchup, and I trust Luka that we're okay in that matchup. I'm fine with that. People can believe that is a mismatch for Rudy, but yeah.
That's what it came down to at the end of the game, and the reason why the Mavericks fell in the clutch. But why did it get there? How did the Mavericks fall in this game? What did we see from Luka? What did we see from the bench? The new guys, Dinwiddie and Bertans, the law firm of Davis and Dinwiddie, that we're gonna call them. The law firm of Dwight, Davis, and Dinwiddie was really
Dwight's
good.
not in that law firm. He's on an individual. He's on a different practice.
Okay. He works on his own. He's like Jeff Winger after he decided not to join his law firm back again.
Not because he's not good. He had a great game tonight, but they're in their own.
If he came off the bench with them, maybe he'd be considered. But we'll talk about that in the bench and why it matters that those guys had sort of breakout games for the Mavs. Talk about that coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Truebill. Truebill helps you in the way that the Mavericks love the matchup between Rudy Gobert and Luka. We love the matchup between your trials and subscriptions that you sign up for and Truebill. Truebill is going to win that matchup one-on-one every single time because they have a concierge there that's there when you need them to cancel unwanted subscriptions and to just
Truebill notification
to just absolutely take them out for you. So go check out Truebill. It'll help you stop paying for subscriptions you don't want, need, or simply forgot about. Go to Truebill.com right now /LockedOnNBA. Truebill.com /LockedOnNBA. It could save you thousands a year if you go ahead and check it out right now. Do you really need all those streaming services now that you are back working or that you're not stuck at home all the time anymore? Maybe the weather is getting better in places that you are. I saw that at the end of this week, it's going to get back to like 70s in Dallas. Do you need all the streaming services still? You can get rid of them with Truebill. They can help you out. Again, Truebill.com /LockedOnNBA. Also want to tell you about RockAuto.com. With the ever-increasing number of makes and models of cars and trucks, it's impossible for all of you guys to fix the cars and trucks that you need. Maybe you were in an accident and you have to fix a couple of parts on your car because of the icy roads earlier this week. Go to rockauto.com, see if they have the part and you can put it on yourself. YouTube can teach you all kinds of things. Go and check it out. Why would you want to spend 30%, 50%, even 100% more on the same parts that you could get on Rock Auto? So go check it out. RockAuto.com. See all the parts available for your car or truck, right? Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box. They know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. RockAuto.com. All right, Isaac Harris, let's focus on some of the other reasons why the Mavericks may have lost this game. And I want to continue with Luka. Luka did not play well in this game by any stretch of the Luka imagination, right? He finishes with 23 points, 11 assists, 7 boards, 5 fouls, only 4 turnovers, but he gets, what did he have? 6 of those assists, 6 of those 11 assists in the first quarter. He just came out dishing early in this game. And then just later and later in the game, the Jazz tried to take away the pass from Luka, which is what we've seen the Clippers do a whole lot in the playoffs. And we've seen any of these tightly contested games against good teams that teams try to take away Luka and the pass. But Luka took himself out of the game with the shots that he missed. He only went 8 of 24 from the field, shooting 33%. That you're just not going to win many games. I mean, the Miami Heat game that the Mavericks played and won before the All-Star break is one of the few games when Luka's going to shoot like that and the Mavericks actually get a win. Luka also got in foul trouble, which I thought factored in a lot late in this game because you have situations where Luka is kind of just allowing the Jazz to get a basket or can't defend as hard as he normally would, and then he becomes a liability, and that's tough for you to overcome. He got his 5th foul with 5 minutes and 42 seconds left to go, and I think Luka not playing his best basketball was a huge factor in this game, but it's a testament to the rest of the Mavs that they were in this game with Luka playing that bad.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of a few different things for Luka. Once first came back after the All-Star break, I mean, we know he had to take some time off. After he was the one guy who was gone, right? I mean, he was at All-Star weekend.
Yeah.
If there's anybody on the team that's going to have, another day or so to get back to the grind and groove and stuff, it's going to be Luka, which I don't even know. Did we even see an Instagram picture of like where he went for All-Star break or any of that?
We saw a new dog. Luka has a new dog. I don't know if we saw anything else. Have you seen the new dog?
No, I haven't.
I think the name is Lexi. It starts with an L.
Ooh, he named it after the Lexus garage. So for Luka, I think that played into it. I think
Vicky. It does not start with an L at all. It's a V, which looks like an L. No, I just messed it up.
Wow.
That's the news from Luka post All-Star anyway.
You messed up your Valentine's name.
Sorry, I got Luka's new dog's name wrong. I'll apologize
Slacker.
to everyone.
Are you even a Mavs media person? Come on. They're just handing out those blue check marks like candy these days.
I do know it's his 3rd dog. I do know that.
Here's the thing. I think there was a hangover from All-Star Weekend. I think one, he had some bad shot selections a little bit, but it also goes back to whenever a team forces him to pass or to not pass, to take away the assist. Well, you know what? It's a big part of his game is getting to the free throw line. And he was driving tonight. He just wasn't getting the calls. Like, if you've been listening to this pod, we're not on here after every loss saying, it's not the Cowboys blaming on the refs every single loss. We're not doing that.
A little shot there.
Hey, I'm on Locked On Cowboys too. So
of the two of us, you have been on Locked On Cowboys more than me. That's true.
So, but for Luka, he only had 4 free throws tonight. The team had 8 free throws tonight. What?
1 free throw in the entire second half, and it was on Dwight Powell's alley-oop that he got smashed in the face by Hassan Whiteside. One free throw in the entire second half. Like, I don't know about that.
Whiteside is probably in the top 10 of like annoying players for me in the league. He really annoys me. But I
liked it when he was on the floor when the Mavs were going against him.
Yes, sign me up. I just think it was that combination for Luka in the off night. He wasn't getting the fouls. He wasn't getting to the line. He's taking some bad shots, making some bad decisions, shooting the ball. And I think it was like a hangover coming out of All-Star Weekend. So,
yeah. And on the same vein, Brunson also did not have a great game at all. 8 points for him, only 4 of 11 from the field, 2 assists, 4 fouls for him as well. A couple of those coming around screens from Rudy Gobert, just trying to fight through, the screens that Rudy would set. 2 turnovers for Brunson. He just did not have a great game. This game really came down to, if you want to just narrow it down to a couple things, Luka and Brunson combined for 31 points, 12 of 35 from the floor. That's 34%. So the Mavs' top 2 scorers shot 34%. Mitchell and Gobert combined for 47 points, 17 of 25 from the field. That's 68%. If the star duo of the one team shoots twice as good as the duo from the other team, you're usually not going to win these games. So it's a testament to the rest of this group that the Mavericks were even in this game. It's a testament to Dwight Powell, 22 points, 7 boards, hit a 3, I thought was really good in this game. This is probably his best game of the year.
March Dwight Powell.
Oh, let's go.
He's like crawling out of the cave early.
If you haven't been following the Mavs for a long time, there's this phenomenon. March and April, Dwight Powell is like an all-star level player. He's just like
a spring flower.
I know. It's just something about after the all-star break, he just becomes this different player where all of a sudden he'll start hitting threes. Go look at his percentages. He'll start hitting threes. He'll start rebounding. It's just a different player. I don't know why, but all of a sudden he has emerged early. An incredible game for Dwight. I thought it was the perfect role for him. And I'm not one of those people that thought that he should have played a lot more or played more late in this game.
No, I thought he did well in his minutes, like you said. I mean, even in that first quarter there, it's like, whoa, what is this? Hit a 3, and he hit like a jump hook over Rudy in the paint.
In the post. He scored on Rudy Gobert in the post, and I texted you, was like, what the hell? What is happening? What is going on right now? He finished the first quarter with he finished the first quarter. Anyway, continue.
I was gonna make one more point on Brunson and Luka.
9 points.
When it comes to Luka and him looking sluggish, I thought defensively you saw that more than anything.
Yes.
There were a few times tonight he just got like blown past defensively and was just like standing there, especially a few times late in the game. So I think that will come back. And Brunson, somebody tweeted at me at the end of this game about Brunson, and I need to go back. Sometimes I'll go back and rewatch some games if I have some time in between, changing diapers and all that crap. But is the like Brunson with length on him? Somebody tweeted at me that, and I was like, I need to, because what I remember, Conley guarded Brunson, a decent chunk of the game, but I want to go back and see possessions in which Utah was purposely putting Royce O'Neal, putting Bogdanovich on him, putting some taller length on him. We know that's the thing. We know that's what teams are probably going to do, come playoff time. I want to see, if this is a series, let's see what these next 2 games, in Dallas look like. If this is a playoff series, I could 100% see Utah, Quinn Snyder saying, all right, Ty Lue last year put Nick Batum on Jalen Brunson. We're going to put Bogdanovich on him. Because we know Royce O'Neal is going to chase Luka around and, try to be annoying. And he's, going to hold Luka to like 38 points. So I just want to see, I think that will be the thing. They'll put Conley on like Dorian and just roll with something like that. But that's where Jalen Brunson will have to show people that he's a different Jalen Brunson.
That's been since Jalen Brunson, or since the Clipper series last year, and now even more so when Brunson has made this leap this season. That's the big thing for Brunson. That's the huge thing for Jalen Brunson is, can he play against length? Can he play and be effective against teams like this that have wings that they can throw at him, that have extra guys that they can send his way? That is going to matter a ton against any of these teams. Against the, if they play the Clippers again, absolutely. If they play the Jazz, if they play the Grizzlies, any of these teams, they're going to have an extra wing to throw at him and just kind of take him out of the game. And he has to not do that. He has to be able to play and score more than 8 points in a game like this. However, he did have, the Mavericks did have an answer to some of that length, and it was Spencer Dinwiddie. Spencer Dinwiddie played, obviously, his best game as Mavericks so far, 20 points off the bench. Davis Bertans also had an incredible game. We'll talk about those guys coming up. But before we do, let me tell you about Built Bar. It's a protein bar that tastes like a candy bar. They're delicious. They're great. They're good for you. Coconut brownie chunk. It's a great bar. It's absolutely great. You can feel the real brownie pieces on top of it. That's what gives it that great flavor. I usually am not a coconut guy. I usually don't like coconut that much in all the different kinds of foods. I wouldn't choose coconut. But for this bar, I absolutely choose coconut every single time. Have you tried the Puffs? If you haven't yet, you're missing out. If you've tried Built Bar before and you haven't tried the Puffs, check them out. They're covered in 100% chocolate. Even the Puffs are covered in 100% chocolate. They're low calorie, high protein. They will replace your candy bar. Go to built.com, scroll down to the macros chart. You're going to see everything that you're going to want to need about these bars, especially if you're keeping track, if you're still keeping spreadsheets and whatever you got about your intake. So go check it out, built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your entire order. That's LOCKED15, LOCKED15 to use to get 15% off at built.com. All right, Isaac Harris. So the Mavericks, they lost this game in part because Luka and Brunson did not play their best. However, they were in this game late, despite Donovan Mitchell going off. He had a great game, I thought. 33 points, 11 of 19 from the floor, 7 of 12 from three. Guy hit 7 threes.
They didn't guard him tight enough, in my opinion. He had too many just walk up shots, and
it was the come around a screen and pull up from three, right? Like it was the going under the three or going over the screen. Going under the screen and allowing him to take that shot, or going over the screen and not, trying hard enough, right? And Brunson tried a couple times and he got fouls called because he was trying to come around a screen like that. But I completely agree. But the Mavericks were in this game because Spencer Dinwiddie, 20 points off the bench. This was his best game. We've been wondering since we saw Spencer Dinwiddie added to this team. The first 2 games he played, he was incredibly passive, right? He was just trying to make the right play. He wasn't calling his own number. And in this game, I think we finally saw him play within himself and also be a little bit more aggressive to the betterment of this team. Well,
I think Callie asking first question post game tonight, something similar in that it's hard to hear some of the people in the room.
Callie, we're gonna misrepresent your question just based on the narrative
based
we
on
want.
The answer
based on the narrative we want.
I'm pretty sure Callie asked him something along the lines of like him fitting with the team, his role, making the right pass, that type of thing. And he just explained that. He's like, yeah, I'm here to find my spot to fit in. Like, what is my role in this team? Like, he's approaching it from such a team first mentality, but the Mavericks are going to need him to score. Like, I think Brad tweeted something at the beginning of the game of saying, hey, these first few games for Dinwiddie, he's making the right passes. He's doing his thing, but the Mavs are going to need him to be more aggressive on offense. Bertans, he's not shying away. Bertans is launching them, But Dinwiddie, we saw that tonight. The 3 of 4 from three, the like huge fast break, step into the three. Like, let's go. Some of the stuff off the dribble tonight was nasty. Getting to the rim and one on Donovan Mitchell. Like, that's the stuff that we're not used to.
Oh, sorry. Sometimes I make face. If you're listening,
you went with like one. I was like,
I know. No, if you're listening on the podcast, sometimes I make faces, and that means that I want to butt in and say something, and then sometimes I pull back. But yeah, this is the type of player the Mavericks have been wanting, right? If Dinwiddie continues to play like this, another guy that can dribble and do stuff off the dribble. The Mavs haven't had a player like that in a really long time, it feels like, or at least a third player like that. And he absolutely adds something to this team that they did not have before. And he's not going to shoot 3 of 4 from three. every single game, but he's still going to get to he's still going to get to the rim, be able to finish around the rim, those little like mid-range shots. He's good at those. That's what made him the money that he's making in this league. And so if the Mavericks get more of that from him, and I thought the key with him was to not play the 3-guard lineup. Jason Kidd started it again.
He tried it.
He tried it again. Started it in the sense that he did it early in this game. Yeah. He threw them out there in like the first the 5 minutes left in the first quarter. He throws out the 3 guards, Luka, Brunson, and Dinwiddie together. And that lineup, I just don't think that lineup's going to work. He's going to keep trying it here and there. But when they went with just 2 guards each, when it was Luka and Dinwiddie and when it was Brunson and Dinwiddie, that gives you enough to where they're going to throw a double onto the one side of the court, swing it around, give it to the other guy, give it to Dinwiddie, give it to Brunson. That gives them a driving lane because there's so many guys helping on the other side that all of a sudden the defense is just all over the place. And so that's why Dinwiddie is going to be a factor on this team, and why it's better to have a guy that can handle the ball like that than it is to have, honestly, like a post-up presence or somebody, or just another shooter on the court, right? Like it's going to help this team become more multiple on offense, and that's what the Mavs need.
Can they stagger it the rest of the season to where 2 of those 3 guys are on the floor at all times?
Well, they did in this game, and I thought Jason Kidd did that really well after the first stint where he threw out those 3 guys.
Yeah, so that's something I'm watching, and you said that, so I want to take it back full picture for a moment of this team.
Isaac did a big circle with his hands if you're listening on the podcast.
Full circle back to, or zoom out type of look at this team. It's so fun watching this team, and this team has a different vibe to it. It has a different feel to it, and this was my huge takeaway. Obviously, it would have been segment 1 on this podcast if they would have won the game, because I think you're seeing this Mavs team come into their own. Because now before it was like they were a split personality team. We got to force these 2 different styles into one team. We have Luka, we have the system that they're running now, but we also have a $30 million into one guy who's a 7-foot big that also wants post touches, needs them. We got to get him involved, all that stuff. So it's like these 2 different styles that they were always trying to clash and make it work. And, Kidd, day 1 of this season, we're going to get him the post touches. We're going to, that was it was the biggest question mark. How are they going to use KP? How are they going to, combine him and Luka, all this stuff? And I know we said it after the trade, but all the questions are answered now. Now it's just like, well, how's this guy going to shoot? How's this? We all know how they're going to play. We all know the lineups. We know the starting unit. We know the rotation for the most part with, little tweaks here and there. But we know their style. We know they're going to embrace small ball. We know that bigs are going to come in here. Rudy Gobert type of guys are going to get 16, 17 rebounds, but Rudy Gobert was also a -5 tonight. We know that Jokic, Embiid, they're going to feast on them, but the Mavericks are betting that their perimeter defense and their switchability, their flexibility with rotation and stuff, and their ability to score and have these multiple ball handlers will outweigh, the other big on the team, feasting on them down low. Sean Coleman, host of, Locked On Grizzlies.
Shout out to Sean.
I seen him going back, back and forth with on Twitter. It's that dude X. But I just call it X. Xavier. So he's going back and forth with Xavier, and he said Sean Coleman even mentioned, he's like, yeah, without KP, Adams will thrive. Well, that's exactly what the Mavs want, is Adams thriving, Steven, in a playoff series, because you will live all day, every day with Steven Adams getting 15 boards and 13 points, and the Mavericks coming away with a win, because it's like the Mavericks are almost like, that's what they're willing to give up right now because they can make up for it on the other end.
Gobert was 6 of 6 tonight. He had 6 shots, and a couple of them were just because there's no one down low, right? That he just got these baseline finishes. That's fine, right? But that's not killing you. That's not killing you in this game on defense if you're the Mavericks. And so, that's what the Mavericks are living with for sure.
They just know who they are. I feel like there's a question every year. Bill Simmons talks about it. Other national, media talk about it. If they look at teams, especially in the second half of the season, and they're like, what's their identity? Do they know who they are? They're still trying to figure it out. It's the last 3 weeks of the season. We're like, we don't even know who this team is, and they're in the playoffs. Do they know who they are? The Mavericks know who they are. They have their identity. They have their style. They have their players, and that's for a change. For a change, that's kind of cool to know. It's like, man, all right, sweet. We're not like wondering all this stuff. We know their style. They know who they are, and they're embracing that through this final stretch of the season. So whether that works out in a playoff run, all that, I don't know. It's just something different we haven't been used to.
It's a crime that we've gone this long without talking about tonight's
Hot man, the hot player. Hot player.
Davis Bertans in the first half. Just absolutely on fire, hitting his threes.
Flamethrower.
This is the type of player that you expected or hoped for, right? Not expected, hoped for. When the Mavericks traded for Davis Bertans, and you look at his contract and go, dang, that guy's so way overpaid. There's no way he's going to, make that kind of money. This is the type of player, when he plays like this, that you're like, okay, I can see why he makes that type of money. Maybe you still wouldn't give him that amount of money that he's making, but you can understand it. When in the first half, 14 points, 4 of 5 from 3, and he hit another shot in the lane as well, where he can finish around the rim because he's 6'10". Like, this is the type of player that you hope for when you signed Davis Bertans. And he didn't play much in the second half. He played 18 minutes overall. In the first half, I think he played 12 minutes. And so he only played like 6 minutes the rest of the game. But this is all you want from him, right? And he gave you exactly what you wanted. He hit a bunch of shots. And yeah, I'll give him the hot play of tonight.
Let's for sure. I mean, 5 threes in a game. I mean, you look at, just their bench. I mean, how long ago? I mean, was it 3 games ago, 4 games ago, in which the bench had under 10 points?
That last Clippers game before Dinwiddie and Bertans were added to the lineup. Like, they had 8 points coming off the bench.
Yeah, so you just add these 2 guys to this bench unit, and you're like, let's go. Like, this is, I mean, that
part of the identity, right?
It's part of the identity. It's part, and even like Bertans, there are a few of his shots tonight. You're like, dang, you really like?
I know.
It's kind of forced, but who else is going to shoot it? It's like, that they're telling him you have the green light because we need offense off the bench. So even if it's sometimes a bad shot, like, hey, go for it. Like, we need an offensive punch with that. So I love what Bertans is bringing. I think the whole narrative around Bertans as one of the worst contracts in the league, that was ludicrous to me. When you factor in like his last, the last year of his deal and it being non-guaranteed, a big portion of that. And you look at some of these other like big contracts in the league. I'm like, Bertans is not one of the worst contracts in the league. I think that's so dumb. And you compare like the shooting stuff. He played 34 games this season in Washington, which he shot 31% from 3. You're telling me a guy who's played over like 300-400 games in his career has shot 40% from 3, but no, we're going to judge him off 34 games in freaking Washington. Okay. That sounds like,
I mean, John Wall's getting paid $44 million to not play this year, right? Like, that has to be the worst contract just because he's not playing.
It's not awesome, but it's not the worst contract in the league for a guy who can come off the bench.
Blake Griffin's making $32 million this year.
Well,
part of that's getting paid by another team besides the Nets. But
all right, to bring this pod true full circle.
Oh,
Tim McMahon tweeted out a quote from Rudy Gobert.
Yep. Rudy
Gobert said post game, Luka always uses his body really well.
True.
And always pushes off and everything.
True.
if you're not going to call a push off, you shouldn't call anything else unless it's a foul. Rudy Gobert continues, and I don't think it was enough contact to be called a foul. Well,
of course
Rudy,
he doesn't.
You need to see the tape. So anyway, that's a fun little rivalry that this is right up
it's not
Tim
going
McMahon's
away.
Like alley right here. This is like both of his teams.
Yep.
He knows these guys. So
McMahon's life is going to be pretty easy over the next stretch. Like, his teams are Mavs, Grizzlies, and Jazz, right? And Rockets, I think.
Yeah, unless something has changed over the past.
And so he's probably going to get a pair of those in a playoff series.
It should be fun.
That should be fun.
Sign me up. Like, I want this series. This would be so much fun. I've seen John Hollinger tweet about Kevin Pelton. I've seen a bunch of people tweeting how fun this would be in a series.
John Hollinger was there, and he tweeted out a picture of the scoreboard, and it had offensive and defensive rating on it. Shout out to the Jazz for doing that.
Well, David Locke, let's go. Do they have screen assist?
That's the Locke influence. No. A couple people on my mentions were saying that it should be called moving screen assists after the game tonight. Both teams got away with a lot of moving screens tonight. I thought Dwight had a couple as well, and the refs just were looking at Luka and just didn't pay attention to Dwight at all.
Shout out to Trent Forrest still being in the league. Remember that guy?
Remember the wave goodbye in summer league? Yeah. There you go. Anybody else stand out to you? I thought Josh Green had a couple of really good defensive possessions in this game. I think he'll have a role if the Mavs. Yeah, I think the Mavs he'll have a role if this is a series.
I mean, I guess so. I didn't have a huge Josh Green takeaway. It's just every single time I watch Josh Green play defense, he's so athletic, but he's so heavy footed, and it kills me because I just want him to play on his toes a little bit more and be like more agile and quick. And when a guy gets dribbling on him, it feels like he has like little 5-pound weights on his ankles at times.
Like the old man that's walking with the weights on his ankles.
yeah.
Up and down the hill.
Also, Maxey struggled tonight from 3. He was 1 and 6. I'll still bank on him being in at the end of the game and taking advantage of stretching, that out.
The reason why players shoot 40% from 3, and that's a good percentage, is that some nights they're going to shoot 106 and other nights they're going to shoot like 506, right? That's what happens.
Yeah. So obviously this is a bigger loss for Dallas in the standings. You losing to Jazz. We've been talking about this whole thing. Could they catch Utah? Is their first, 3 matchups in the span of 3 or 4 weeks. So they'll come to town 2 more times in Dallas, and that'll be fun because this one's a little chippy, a little fun there. And I think both teams know kind of what's at stake there, but it should be fun.
Mavs down 0-2 in the season series. They played 2 more times, so they could still tie the season series. I haven't looked at all the tiebreakers yet. I think they could still win the season series if they're tied and it comes out a certain way, but the chances of the Mavs winning the season series went down. So that is significant for the Mavs. But yeah, we'll be back after the Warriors game on Sunday. The Mavs play at the Warriors. That'll be an interesting game as well. Very, very tough game.
No Draymond
for the Mavericks. No Draymond. I'm just gonna repeat everything you say for the rest of this pod. There you go,
Kevin
guys.
Looney though.
Kevon Looney though. Thanks for what you're listening to Locked On Mavs. Boom.